Okay, that's us recording, Provost.
Okay, thank you, Eamon. Firstly, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for attending virtually or digitally or whatever we call it.
You're welcome.
Right, just the usual, as I say, rules of participation, which we've done before. Can I remind you that the meeting will be recorded and published on the Council's YouTube channel, and can also remind you that Mr. Bruce Sandilands, the local democracy reporter, will be sitting in on the meeting. I will, as usual, be as generous as I can be with contributions, given that we're doing this remotely, but I would ask people not to abuse it. And of course, if there are any votes or anything today, then we would have to adopt the usual procedure to count the votes. Okay, I think that's it. Firstly, are there any apologies for absence?
Yes, thanks, Provost. I've got two that I'll record today. It's for Councillors Buchanan and Deputy Provost Cunningham.
Okay, thank you very much. You'll all be aware that the Councillors' Code of Conduct requires that elected members have to declare any financial or non-financial interests that they may have in any of the items on the agenda. So are there any declarations of interest this afternoon? No. No. Okay, good. So the next item is item number 3, which is the annual accounts for the Council's charitable trusts and external audit for the ISA 260 report. The report and the accounts have been scrutinised by the Audit and Scrutiny Committee this afternoon. We are now past the Council for consideration. So before I say anything, could I perhaps call in Councillor Miller, who chairs the Audit and Scrutiny, to actually speak in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost. As you well know, the Audit and Scrutiny Committee has reviewed the audited annual accounts and the external audit report for the Council 7 charitable trusts. We are pleased to note that the accounts have been awarded a clean audit certificate, and we would now remit these to the Council for your consideration.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, the accounts for the trusts in there are really for the Council to note, I think, rather than approve as such. Happy to take any questions if anybody has them.
Provost, just before questions, I could maybe be clear that they were at the Audit and Scrutiny Committee for noting, but they are actually at the Council for approval. Okay, sorry about that. Yep, for approval here today. So this is your opportunity if there are any questions to. I don't see any hands raised. So you, Councillor Wallace.
Thank you, Provost. Just curious to know if any issues were raised at the Audit and Scrutiny Committee with reference to the accounts. Thank you.
Good. Right, can I just be clear that we're on at item 3, just looking at the accounts for the trusts and such like, and not the actual council audit.
The same question arises really for both. I'll be asking the same question at the next one as well. Thanks.
Okay, that's fine. You want to say something at this time, Mrs. McClawson?
Yes, just to respond to that question, the accounts were given an unqualified. The accounts were given an unqualified certificate, and the one specific question was raised in relation to an action which had for last year, and it was for a higher standard of documentation to be maintained for payments from one particular trust. This is noted in the auditor's report, and they were able to clarify that they were happy that that had now been resolved and adequate procedure and documentation were now being kept for all trusts.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions on item 3? Right, can I move on then to item number 4, accept item number 3, and move on to the actual annual accounts and draft annual audit report for the full council. Again, do you want to comment, Ms. Councillor Miller? We have been to audit this afternoon.
Can't hear you. You're on mute.
You're on mute, Stuart, I think.
Sorry. As mentioned, the Audit and Scrutiny Committee had also reviewed the audit annual accounts for East Renfrewshire Council and heard the external auditors comment on their findings. Despite the challenges carrying out the audit remotely, I'm happy to report that the external auditors and council staff have managed to complete this exercise in line with the required deadline of 30th of November. An action plan to address the audit findings on the annual accounts is included on page 67 as Appendix 1 to the audit report, and I would point out that the comments in relation to the impact of COVID and asset valuations are being applied to all councils and not just East Renfrewshire. Once again, we are pleased that the accounts have been awarded an unqualified audit certificate and have had no unadjusted errors. As previously advised in June this year, the accounts show an overall surplus for the general fund of over £3 million, and the non-earmarked general fund reserve is just under the target of 4% level. We would now remit the accounts and audit report to the council for consideration. But one further point that Margaret hasn't written is to record the thanks of myself and the committee for all the work that Margaret, Barbara and the finance team have done throughout this challenging year, which has made so much more challenging in the work that has been done remotely. The kind words that we got from the external auditors prove that they are a credit to this council and well deserved. I can also thank Michelle and our audit team for all the work they have done, which also has to be done remotely. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Miller, and I'm sure we all echo these comments, thanking our staff. Councillor Wallace, do you want to ask us any, are you reassured from what you heard from Councillor Miller? Do you want to ask anything further?
Well, other than hearing that everything would appear to be tickety-boo as far as the chair of the audit committee is concerned, were there any issues raised? I'm thinking, I noticed one of the main judgments concerned internal audit and making sure that it continues to be functional given the COVID situation just now. I'm just curious as to, with all the additional payments that will have been put out in terms of business payments, furlough, etc., the amount of payments that have been coming out from council, as to whether we have got that covered, whether the audit committee is happy that that will be well covered and sufficient hours will be allocated to internal audit to make sure that these things are being properly scrutinised. I wonder if the chair of the audit committee could respond. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Wallace. Councillor Miller, do you want to respond to that?
Yes, thank you very much, Provost. Thank you, Councillor Wallace. Yes, I'm sure Barbara Clark, who's with us today, will expand more on the monies coming in and going out. As to the internal audit, a lot of the internal auditors have actually been doing a lot of work elsewhere other than internal audit, and there is one of the internal auditors off in long-term sick at the moment. But as Michelle has said, that it's very, very difficult to do internal audits remotely, but they're going to manage. She reckons she'll manage an awful lot more this coming year than what she has done in the last 6 months. Barbara, can you add something else about the money's going out?
Certainly, the auditors have commented on the internal controls of the council and are satisfied that they are intact, and the payments that have been going out for the grants to businesses and self-employed have been following these internal controls. So I'm happy that that's acceptable. So.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. McCullough, something?
Just to pick up on the point on the internal audit checks, a revised internal audit plan is being prepared at the moment and is going to be brought back to the Audit and Scrutiny Committee at their next meeting.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Wallace.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
Gordon, you're on mute.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Here you go.
Yeah, just one thing really to add. I think this year is perhaps a reminder of the importance of our reserves. And I know we dipped down to 3.8%, and we seemed last year to find an argument as to whether that would be, well, we seemed to find a reasonable argument that was satisfactory. But I think this year is, as I say, a great reminder of what reserves are for, and perhaps something for us to keep in mind for future years if ever we are feeling that going below 4% when things are running along normally is acceptable. Okay, that's just a comment to make. Thanks.
Okay, that comment. Any other contributions? Any other questions or comments? Councillor O'Kane.
It was just to apologise, Provost, for my tardiness. I was having a nightmare with the connection. I am, however, now here.
About to finish, but never mind. You're welcome.
Sorry, we never noticed you.
If I could, with your indulgence, Provost, just thank, as always, Audit and Scrutiny and Councillor Miller for their input on the accounts, and indeed Mrs McCrossan and her team. I think it's customary that the leader of the council usually does that, so I'll do it in Tony's absence.
Okay, thank you, and we'll note that. Any other questions, councillors, or problems? No. Can we approve item 4 and approve the report, as I say, which is already gone to audit earlier today? So really that concludes the business this afternoon, I think. I don't think there's anything else.
So that's
us, Provost.
Yep, thank you very much for your attendance, and
thank you.
Stay safe, and we'll see you for the December meeting.
Thanks, Provost.
Thank you.
Thank you, Provost.
All right.